Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with a mighty Jingles. This, in the Batchat 25T Tier 10 French medium tank here on the Cliff map, is Never Lucky Rubber Ducky. I have to admit, I really like that name. And the name is also quite appropriate, as you're going to see in today's World of Tanks replay. Lucky has been taking a very long break from World of Tanks. This is one of the first games that he's played in 6 months. He is quite an experienced player, as you can see. He owns at least one Tier 10 tank, the Batchat. And as you'll see from this particular battle replay, he does definitely know what he's doing. And this is one of the very first games that he played when he came back to World of Tanks after an enforced break of around about 6 months. So it's a Tier 10 game, obviously, here on the Cliff map, and he's making a very aggressive push for the lighthouse in the centre of the map. When he gets spotted, thinks twice, maybe I will go for it, and then spots an incredibly fat and juicy AMX 5120. His first shot gets absorbed by that guy's tracks, and he's going to kick himself because his final shot isn't quite enough to finish him off. He gets away with 43 health, although he does immediately get cleaned up by somebody else on the team. So, kill denied, but he's already done 1700 damage, which, spoiler alert, most of his team are not going to manage this entire game. Right, it's starting to get awfully crowded up here, and there's no real safe route. I mean, you could get away with it, I suppose. You might have to take a hit in order to get to the top of the hill via that route, but Lucky has another plan. I did not realise this was possible. I've seen people up on this side of the map before. I remember when I was commentating at the Wargaming League Grand Finals a couple of years back, I saw a guy from Navi, funnily enough, in a Batchat, getting stuck in this exact position. Almost right exactly in the same spot, and I thought initially that this was the spot Lucky was going for, but he's not. That was a hilarious game in the Grand Finals, by the way. It cost them the match. But, wow, who knew you could actually get to the top of the lighthouse from this side of the map? I had no idea it was possible. Actually, to be honest, I'm quite surprised that you can still get to the top of the lighthouse via that particular route, because I'm pretty sure I remember reading somewhere that Wargaming were trying to remove these kind of mountain goat trails from the game. But, well, looks like they either haven't gotten round to it or they missed that one. Now check out that IS-7 down there. He's tucked in behind that rock like a flea on a dog's back, and he's not coming out for anybody. Why would you do that if you were in that IS-7? Why wouldn't you be pushing around the corner? Is it perhaps because he's the only tank on his team around that end of the map? Spoiler alert, yes it is. But what that IS-7 doesn't know is that nobody else on Lucky's team is in a position to fight him. He's actually quite safe over there. Only Lucky and this T-49 here are in any kind of position to put shots on him. Again, take a look at the map. What you have over here are most of the heavy hitters on Lucky's team, and they're all camped around the corner at the foot of the hill fighting a Carnarvon. Yes, really. Now, given that up to a third of Lucky's team are being pinned into position by one of the worst Tier 8 heavy tanks in the game, it will probably also come as no great surprise for you to hear that they're getting their asses kicked doing it. Just about the only silver lining on the situation is that as of now, that IS-7 is not aware that he doesn't actually have anything to be afraid of, and he can roll right around that corner and start farming damage on the big fat juicy asses of all of those guys down there who are creaming their pearly pink panties at the idea of taking a hit from the Carnarvon's 20-pounder gun. Lucky has been furiously pinging the map, trying to get them to move around the corner and deal with the IS-7, but nobody is going for it. Now, where did the IS-7 go? Has he figured it out yet? Has he taken his brave pills? It would appear that he, in fact, has. Look at where that guy managed to get to without being spotted. So with that IS-7 now getting free shots into the back end of all of the friendly tanks at the bottom end of that hill, it's down to Lucky and the T-49 who's up here with him to do something about it. At this point, Lucky does take a hit from a Type 61, but he judges the Type 61's reload and the IS-7's aiming time and manages to expend his magazine without taking any further damage. Now it's interesting to note that that Type 61, about a minute ago, was around at the base of the hill with the Carnarvon, which, if you do the math, means that the Carnarvon is no longer virtually holding off a third of Keywood's team single-handed, he is now actually holding off a third of Keywood's team single-handed. And the IS-7 and the Type 61 have now been joined by a T-34. And unsurprisingly, despite being on about 56 health for the last minute, the IS-7 is still alive. Nobody's had the sense to derp a high explosive shell into his turret and finish him off. The T-49 on the hill up here with Lucky is trying, but he only has the 90mm gun, doesn't have the howitzer. That still leaves the T-34 and the Type 61, of course. And the problem, when you're this close to the base of the hill, is you just don't have the gun elevation to be able to point the gun up and return fire at anything like, oh I don't know, a Batchat 25T that's shooting down at you. So he's taken out the Type 61. 3 shots remaining. Not many tanks left on his team either, and that IS-7 is still fighting. I think the T-49 is trying to get an angle on him. And they've just lost another tank. There are only 6 of them left. There's the T-34. T-49 has finally finished off the IS-7. Now the T-34 is going to find that he's having exactly the same problem as the Type 61 was in the same location. He doesn't have the gun elevation to be able to point his gun up the hill at Lucky's Batchat, so Lucky claims another kill. But now Lucky's running into a problem that's all too common for Batchat drivers. He only has 15 shots left after doing 5,000 damage, but there are still 9 enemy tanks that require killing. The Batchat has such a low ammunition capacity that you really have to make every single shot count in this tank, particularly when you're having to carry a team of donkeys like this. And that's what makes this, well, just watch. Nope. Don't think so. 3 shots left. Not today. Side of the turret. There's 1. And that's it. That's ammunition wasted that he is really going to need. And that is when things take a turn for the slightly ridiculous. Yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. Do not refresh the page. That is the enemy tortoise. No, really, it is. I mean, when I'm looking at the enemy team list, I have to admit that is the last tank on the enemy team that I would have expected to be making an appearance up here. Of course, Lucky is now spotted, thanks to proximity detection, and there's an M41 Grand Final. There it is. Very lucky, his tracks absorbed the shot, but with an M41 taking pot shots at him, he can't afford to hang around this side of the lighthouse anymore. So, baits the tortoise into taking a shot, and then he goes for it. Now, there are numerous problems associated with what Lucky is going to do here. First of all, you have to be careful the tortoise doesn't push you off the back end of the cliff. Some very, very careful driving required here, and secondly, the tortoise has so much health that even if he makes every shot count, and he did, he was not going to be able to do enough damage to kill the tortoise without some help. Luckily, he got some help. T-49 to the rescue. And that really was some exceptional tank driving from Lucky there. He's managed to stay on top of the hill, and the tortoise is down. That's the Carnarvon down there, by the way. There he is, look at that. He's only lost 400 health. I mean, that guy faced off against most of the heavy hitters on Lucky's team, and he still has 1200 health remaining. What were they doing down there? He's going for the T-49 though. Was Lucky going to be able to save him? Let's hope so. No, I don't think so. The 20-pounder just reloads too quick. Oh, he has! He's done it! He's kept the T-49 in the game. Off the hill. Didn't take any damage doing it. Still got 2 shots remaining, but that's it. That's his last 2 shots in the game. He's down to 2 rounds of high explosive anti-tank premium ammunition. There's only 3 of them left alive. The T-49's a one-shot kill for anybody. The other surviving tank on the team, the 113, who has had a relatively good match himself, he only has around about 340 health remaining as well. And with just 2 rounds of ammunition left, Lucky is really going to have to make these shots count. Now there's the M41 on the hill. It's tempting to go for it, but is that the right target to go for? Because you need to kill the guys in the cap circle. Or take out the ones that can kill the 113, so the 113 can push the cap circle, and then, plot twist, the 113 shot landed on the Rheinmetall Borsig just a fraction of a second before Lucky's shot landed on target. So he's now wasted that precious shot of high explosive anti-tank, and he only has 1 round remaining. They've lost the T-49, but they did take out the M41 on the hilltop, so there's just that T-69 preventing them from getting to the cap circle, and it's going to take more than 1 shot to kill him, and Lucky is now out of ammunition. At this stage of the game, you have to assume that that T-69 has loaded the premium ammunition, but the 113 can still take hits from the front from a T-69 even when it's firing gold. So Lucky decides he's going to have to use his tank as a weapon and ram the T-44-100 that he knows is around here so the 113 can advance on the cap circle. The only problem here is that weighing just 25 tons, the Batchat just doesn't have the mass to pull it off successfully. And, well, it didn't matter because the 113 isn't moving anyway. And the enemy team have capped. Gee, it's a real shame he didn't have another 3 or 4 rounds of ammunition. He could have really used them, you know, like the one that went harmlessly into the side of an AMX-5120, or the 3 that went harmlessly into the side and rear of an E75, but, well, I guess we'll never know. 6 months away from World of Tanks, and he comes back to an ace tanker and high caliber with over 9,000 damage done, and it's still not enough to carry his team to victory. Remember, by the time he'd expended his first magazine, he'd already done 1,700 damage. There are only 3 other players on his entire team who managed to equal or exceed that in the entire game. Almost a third of his team did no damage whatsoever. Lucky, any reaction to this? Yeah, I think I can pretty safely say we all know how you feel. Still, on the bright side, at least your name's very appropriate, and you did at least make a profit in that game, which is, well, it's not much consolation, but you've got to take it where you can get it, I suppose. Anyway, Never Lucky Rubber Ducky, coming back to World of Tanks for the first time in 6 months and probably wondering why he bothered. Thank you for sending the replay in. You see, it doesn't matter how bad things get. We can always point to videos like this and say, well, at least I'm not that guy. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope, while I hesitate to use the phrase, I hope you enjoyed today's video, but I hope you were at least entertained by it. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.